Next on old business is, we talked a little bit about the fire department brush truck. I was gonna ask them for an update on a build cost from the previous bid sheet. We've had some conversations with the fire department, or I have, and since I'm on the township as the trustee and as also as the president, or whatever that's called, for the territory, we've had some conversations and they wanna hold off. They wanna leave that alone for now and, just keep on cruising on what they have. That'll make more sense when I get to some of this in new business.
Are you gonna do any discussion on 270?
Sure.
I have some questions about that. It's really a weird bill. I'm giving you points for things that could have happened or might have happened.
Right.
Or didn't happen. Do you know what was reported and what wasn't to see how many points we're gonna garner?
I don't know. That's the DLGF. They're gonna tell you what you get once they look at it.
Oh, so you have no idea what was.
I know that there's 8 points in the way that they grade the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think we may get hit on the budget, and then we had no executive for like a couple months, and I think that takes a hit too.
Okay.
But it should be if you compare us to like, this is not, I didn't do all the science, but if you compared us to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we could be merged into, we're probably number 2 as far as favorable.
Because some of the reporting that was required, you weren't there yet.
Sure.
And I was just wondering if you knew if that reporting was done so that we wouldn't take a hit on that stuff.
I don't know how they're grading it or where they're looking at it. I don't know if they're missing, like if you're missing things from the State Board of Accounts that you're supposed to turn in, or were there things that weren't missing from the DLGF that you didn't turn in, so I think that's how they're probably grading it. That's a partial answer. I'll find out.
It's kind of a goofy bill.
Yeah,
It's really goofy.
it seems like it's rushed.
Yeah. Not a lot of thought went into it.
Neither was Senate Bill 1. New business, are you okay with that, Alan? That explanation, not an explanation?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
One of the things that during the new business for the first meeting of the year, and this is partially why we're here tonight, is that I didn't think we had to turn in a uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement because the office is not at my house, so there was no conflict of interest. Apparently to them, I still have to turn in a signed conflict of interest that says there is no conflict of interest. It's government. So it just says that the new address with my name is attached to it, and then name of contractors and vendors. It says currently there are no conflicts of interest involved with this address, and then description or contracts or purchases, there's none, and then it just goes to these gentlemen signing, and then I can turn it in, and it's due tomorrow. So you are at the bottom right there.
I move we adopt the conflict of interest statement.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Straight back.
Your top, sir. I'll sign it here and I'll upload it. Cruising along. Another thing we did during the first meeting is where I disclosed you the business checking account and the certificate of deposit. That is considered our Board of Finance meeting. When I looked back into that and looked into some other years, same thing, we needed the signature page. So I've got, you guys, oh, here's the signature page. Do I need to repeat the numbers? January 8th was, I'll just do it, $952,533.29. That earns 1.8% interest. The total interest in 25 was $17,723.78. And then the certificate of deposit, which is old, it's been in there since 2010. It started at $50,000, it's $56,464 right now, and 83 cents, and it was recently moved from an old annual interest rate of 1.3 to 3.5. Total interest now for 2025 was $167.35. So that requires a signature as well. And you have that information if you need it. bank statements for the board president to sign. Right before we all came in here, we confirmed with the ledger that, the last month that the previous trustee was in there, the months that he was gone, and then these few months that I've been there, we confirmed between the clerk, myself, and the president that the books are matching to the penny. So he signed off on those today, or just a little while ago. The territory report, if you were at the territory meeting, we've had some conversations with the fire chief. The numbers, can you throw me that one more time, what you should have got?
So, the budget was submitted at 8/21,
Yeah.
and with Senate Bill 1, and I'm sorry, I'm not giving the exact 8/21 because I don't have, do you have it?
I'm sure
I
you
thought it
know.
was 8/21/750.
Okay, we'll just go with that.
That is what
We're getting close.
was submitted to the state for
In the
approval
DLGF,
in the DLGF for the fire department budget.
Right,
and that was because it reverted back.
but Senate Bill 1.
And then
right.
Senate Bill 1
Thanks for the reminder.
did its thing, and after taxes were collected,
After they will,
756,
after they will be collected, it'll be 786,500.
okay,
So there is about a $60,000 difference.
and the equipment replacement fund, that was, what, 113, ended up coming in around 109
right.
because of Senate Bill 1.
So, we've had some conversations with them, the various seats that I'm holding right now. In an act of good faith, they decided that they would take the lesser of the money to go to 786.5, saving about $60,000 for the township. We'll see where we land with that, while Senate Bill 1 is still adjusting how much the actual tax draw is. And I know there's people in the room that have asked about it in July. The taxes have already been collected until July. So in July, if they have to, they're gonna go to 2 people. Now, the small warning on that impact is that ISO likes 3 or more. It's not necessarily gonna slow down response times, but there'll be people here. I will probably get in trouble for this, I don't like it, but if that's what it takes to kind of go the right direction, then I think that the fire department's acted in good faith.
As fire chief, my main thing is safety of the people. 3 people safer than 2, but if I'm trying to be responsible with tax dollars,
Right.
and I'm being cut by Senate Bill 1, it may be 2 people.
Okay. I appreciate it, I mean, me to you. Are you prepared for this?
No, so I thought I sent you a follow-up stating that it's not necessary anymore. But I'll go ahead and talk on it since it's on the board, or since it's on the
Okay.
agenda.
Yeah.
So, because of the 2 bills, in trying to be proactive, I was considering, and I've decided not to, at least now until we have a better understanding of what we might be facing, introducing a resolution to form the Jackson Township Fire Department, strictly as a on paper thing. In the territory, you cannot, while we're in the territory, we cannot tax for it, we cannot fund it in any way. I don't think, the way some of those bills are moving, I don't think it makes sense to present that as a resolution at this time, regardless of whether that was a good idea or not. So I've scratched that from my opinion for now.
Okay.
Question. So that was just in response to these bills possibly
Yeah, and the wording before, some amendments, stating that if you fund, or if you operate a fire department, it's one of the reasons why you wouldn't, face merger on one of the bills. There wasn't clear language on whether or not a territory operated a fire department. There would have had to have been all kinds of discussion on, and work with them, that we're not even prepared to discuss right
So
now.
it's not clear, but it's just a preemptive possibility to make sure that the fire department and township still had autonomy from the rest of the state.
Yeah, that's what the intent was, but like I said, I don't think it's a necessary move right now, so I scratched it for now.
I think we should gamble on these bills, we might as well have fun while it's stressing us out. Which one's
Well,
good?
then they're even asking, they're even adding, was that on 13-15 where they're gonna add a year? Or is that 270?
That was 13-15,
Okay.
had a year.
That one was gonna be stressful because it was gonna give you a year
Yeah.
to do it. But this one's faster, it's like June 26th or something like that. Like, if it passes, like, we have to have an idea what.
Well, I think they get you get your grade, I think that they
Yeah,
give
and
you
then they
your,
tell you who you're going with.
yeah, and then I did hear when they presented the bill, cause I've become a dork and started watching the live thing, the guy who wrote the bill actually presented it and said that, like with the fire department thing, he said that the township would have to actively manage, like the way he worded it, it's like, I don't even know what he meant by that. But another thing, he said that if you were to merge with another township, it would have to be a township that's a 3 or under. So it's almost
Oh,
like.
yeah, that'd be, it's a
so-
golf score though, right? Lower the better.
Right,
Yeah.
but then again, like what would a township that doesn't have to merge, what would be in it for them to merge if they're safe at a 3? So,
So I think that some of the reasons that I'm coming up against some obstacles to talking to,
mhm.
one that I think that we would merge with is she has no reason to.
Yeah, so how does that work?
So I'm trying to be proactive and I'm like, I haven't started flowers yet, but I mean, we're to a
Right.
point to where I'm just like, I just wanna talk to you about this because they've got a good thing going and a lot better tax rate for
Are you talking about Washington?
Washington, yeah.
I know they were basically saying that if you did score the 4 or above, then you would have to go meet with whoever is responsible in the
Right.
county, and then the county would then tell you who you could, so it doesn't even give us any like options really, from the way
Like
they
Alan
said
it's
it.
kind of a weird bill, they just threw
Yeah.
a dart. and
Does it say anywhere in the bill when they would give the scores out?
No, I'll tell you what, I'll be proactive though, I gotta call State Board of Accounts tomorrow, so.
I thought that was the first date on there, it was like the June date or something.
Yeah.
I'll send you what I've got, and
Well, like I said, we wanna be proactive
Yeah.
and if it looks that way, at least know what an option is, but
We
they
may be able
probably
to
don't wanna
react to-
talk until we're all scored. And I get that, but then if you have to have an answer by June or July 1st,
not my
and you don't get scored until the end of May, you don't have much time, so I'd like for those conversations to happen sooner than later.
I think it said, by the end of 2026, which I know isn't much time. That the decision would have to be made, but then it would be effective at another date. And don't quote me, I'm just going off memory, I've looked at both of them too many times.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of wild cards.
Yeah.
We don't know what to expect, but we know something's coming. It's just that simple.
Does the board have any other new business?
Well, I have a question. We adopted resolution 25-3 to transfer $500,000 into the equipment replacement fund in the territory. But it wasn't recognized by DLGF. Do we know why it wasn't turned in after the meeting we adopted that? Because it was way before the time for the budget to be in place.
So when I look at like the ledgers and everything, the 500,000 that was all earmarked basically so they couldn't touch it through the lid, is that what you're talking about?
Right.
When I look at the ledger, it's there, cause it's the larger part of the whole budget, is it?
But the intent, at least, the intent in my motion that I made, and that was passed in that meeting, was it was that was put in place to take 3.33 cents off the tax rate. And that didn't happen, obviously, because the budget didn't get turned in time.
Right.
But that was adopted prior to budget approval. And I don't know why they're not recognizing it.
When we turned it in, what was it, 10 hours, 12 hours late or something like that? I think I told you this, I asked her, I pled with her, I'm like, let me get this on this, because it was already a resolution. And she said, well, it wasn't on the Form 4, like the last final signature page. And that's when she told me basically no. She said, if I do it for you, I can do it for 1,000 and another 5 townships. And that was, what's her name? Allison? Yep.
I do have a statement.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I think the last couple of territory meetings, and this isn't meant to be argumentative, but we have a difference of opinion on law and statute, that I think needs to be addressed. So this is my opinion. I think it can be hashed out with DLGF, and I guess I'll ask you first. Did the DLGF at any time tell you that the reason that tax wasn't reduced,
The 3 cents?
yes, had anything to do with the territory board didn't vote on it, or the town didn't vote on it?
She never said that.
Okay.
Town has no business. I mean,
Well-
I talked to May Flory,
Yeah.
who is our liaison for the Indiana Trustees Association, and says the township board has the final say on the territory budget, period.
Yep.
End of discussion.
So, like I said, this isn't to be argumentative, but I have a statement here. I'm gonna read it because I wanna make sure everything's said. So, under Indiana law, it is the township board, as the fire territories provider unit, that is charged with adopting the territory's budget and setting the necessary property tax levies. We not only have that authority, but the responsibility to decide how much to levy for fire services and how those funds are allocated. This authority is clearly established in our interlocal agreement and state statutes. It's important to note that no statute or agreement compels us to impose any specific tax rate. We're required only to use a uniform tax rate across the whole territory, not a predetermined amount. In fact, the law explicitly says the equipment replacement fund tax rate may not exceed 3.33 cents. It does not say it must always be 3.33 cents. The board exercised due diligence and good fiscal policy when they voted to eliminate and separate the 3-cent equipment replacement levy and instead pre-fund that account with $500,000 from township funds. This decision would effectively cover equipment needs for the next 4+ years without additional tax burden. They took this action within their legal authority, aiming to save taxpayer dollars while still fully funding fire protection needs. I want to be clear, the township board has both the legal right and duty to control the fire territory's budget and tax levies. Neither the town council or the fire territory's advisory board can override the statutory authority vested in this board. My aim is to exercise that authority wisely and in full compliance with Indiana law to protect our residents and their tax dollars. Now, I've made that statement, that's regarding the $500,000. That doesn't mean we can't change our mind if we decide to. But as of right now, that $500,000 was moved to lower that rate. I also don't want it to sound like I'm against the brush truck, because I think you guys made a compelling argument there. I know you said you put it on hold for now, you're gonna talk about it, but there's extra money in there on top of that $500,000. I would absolutely entertain the topic of the brush truck if that's something that you guys want to discuss. But it needed to be stated, and we can hash this out with whatever state agency we need to. It's township board authority to release those funds.
And that money's for their equipment, right?
Correct.
Yes.
There's more than just their equipment.
That's
There's
what it sounded like to me, so.
There's also things in there, when they put in that list, so it wasn't just their fire equipment replacement, there's other things in there, like, there's a fence that needs to be put up around one of the.
Well, that is the capital improvement plan, that's a totally separate fund.
That's different.
Okay, then I'll have to look at it again, I guess.
That was, I thought everybody's understanding, that money's to be used for what those guys need. So, it was, Tom and Martin both voted on it, I mean, it seemed like it's a pretty cut and dry deal.
Did you have a question,
I'll wait.
Joe? Okay.
And
Go ahead.
kind of follow up on what he said, in talking with Ms. Flory, who is also the Vernon Township trustee, she's also on the board of directors for the Township Association. She indicated that there needs to be one joint meeting a year between all the parties. We are still the provider unit, and always will be unless somebody wants to challenge that or change it.
I'm not showing
And that the fire territory board should send us a draft budget in May, so we can start discussing it amongst ourselves and amongst them. And then the fire territory sends the board to all participating units. The territory board starts planning in May. They send it to the participating units, which would be us and the town, by June. And then it comes to us in August for
We
final
start
approval,
working on the board, or start working on the budget, yeah.
for our final approval.
Have you, the weird thing in my position is that I'm here to execute what this body tells me to do. And then the other position that I'm in, I'm also coming to you asking you for the same thing, so I understand my place, I want you to understand that, I guess.
I'm not arguing anybody's place,
Yeah.
I'm just relaying things that she relayed to us
Yeah, and if
that I wasn't aware of.
Sure, if I'm still in this position, or it looks like I'm still in this
I mean, it
position,
was
we're
a
gonna do
learning
it
game
exactly
for all.
that way. We'll do it exactly that way.
So am I understanding correctly that once a year, there's gonna be an annual meeting between the township,
The town and the fire territory.
fire territory board, and,
The town,
okay.
We'll have to do it at the auditorium.
And Mark, maybe that's what, the way it was tried to be stated to me when I mentioned that it was said, I don't know, I can't remember if it was a lawyer, who it was, had us convinced that that's why the 3 pennies weren't removed. I didn't realize it was because of that other stuff either. But because of not all parties were together for that one big thing to discuss the 3 pennies.
I mean, in my mind, that's a moot point.
That's why that,
It's still the township's responsibility as a provider unit to sign off on the absolute budget for the township and the territory.
and I'm just letting you know that's why that statement was made by me.
Chief, and I want you to know that I wasn't putting that on you. I figured you heard that from somewhere.
Oh, absolutely, heard it from somewhere, and it makes sense that we didn't have that annual meeting. We are learning and growing this
Yeah, we're all
territory as a group. That was some very last minute stuff to make sure that the county didn't get some of that money and that 500 got put in the equipment replacement fund. And
I mean,
I get it,
We agreed to that too.
and we
Because
agreed,
knew that would be.
but then the DLGF said no, and we were begging for answers why, and someone told me
Well,
that's because we didn't all agree at the same time.
as far as I'm concerned, we adopted that resolution to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, until we're told otherwise by the State Board of Accounts, that's what will happen. Which is very possible, because the State Board of Accounts does whatever they want to do.
But they did pull pennies this year, so you'll just have to readdress those 3 pennies moving forward, is what you're saying.
Right.
On whether you're gonna collect it or not.
In the
I
2027
get that.
budget, yes. it'll have to be-
Yeah.
Right. Because of what they told us this year, we'll be doing that by May.
And some people brought up points, for why we shouldn't do that. I think.
Correct, and I did it. I do have a concern
No,
because
well-
trucks are so expensive and inflation, but I also understand what we wanna try to do for a taxpayer as well.
Yeah, so what I was getting ready to say is, like, I'm not saying we can't have that discussion. I know that's a discussion that'll happen around the budget. But as of right now, it's it's been made by resolution by those two members of the board in September.
Is there any other discussion?
I got something.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple questions for you. First off, I've been going over the 2025 budget. There's a couple of things I want to ask you about, but first off, or secondly, I guess, is your bond enough? Because you're over $1 million, so you should have 60,000.
I think it's 30, actually, so.
According to the trustees' things, if you deal with 1 million, up to 1 million is 30,000. If you go over 1 million, you have to have another
I'll
30.
keep it below $1 million.
Pardon?
I'll keep it below $1 million.
When you're at one, you get 1.4 a couple times.
Yeah.
And so I just wanna make sure that if they come down and audit and they say, wait a minute, your bond's not enough.
Sure.
I don't want you to get in trouble for that because it's in the rules.
Okay.
And then secondly, I do have some questions on, and Mark's right on that 500,000 that's sitting over there. And I apologize, at the last meeting, I said you didn't have an operating budget. Well, you do have the operating fund, which is cool. What the question I've gotta ask is, we're making more money than we know what to do with it. And the reason I say that is if you look at last year's budget, at the end of the year, what you had, and you look at this year's budget, at the end of the year, you had, the township had 478,000, and, the township fund, and the township itself had 662,000, which is a conglomeration of all the funds. But then you go to the end, and the township has, 988,000.
That was the end of 25.
End of 25, so it went up by over $300,000. So, in talking, the fire department says they're a little bit short, there's money here. I'm kind of curious where it all goes, because I see, receivable accounts that go in, and they don't seem to match anywhere they go. For example, you've got, $602,000, and they gave $410,000 to the fire department, and then there's a bunch of other money, and so there's money left over. And one of the things that I do want to point out is that the December, because you're earning a lot of interest right now, the December interest is not posted.
We didn't have it when I posted that, when I gave that to you.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't in yet.
okay.
I can tell you what it is.
Just want to make sure, because it's gonna be like another $1,700-$1,800.
I think it was 18,188.
Yeah, because you guys, you're doing really good on the interest. Some of the things that we're a little bit concerned about, and this is prior to your time, is telephone bill for $283. And that went on for several months now. My cell phone bill for 2 phones is not even that much.
That was, I do know the answer to that.
Good.
They did Verizon at Bill's house for a while. They set it up so they had the pucks, and where he lives is terrible service. And for a minute, they were getting double charged for not only the AT&T that they ended up setting up, but also the Verizon. And then it didn't get paid because they came and got the equipment and they kept billing them. So finally they're like, we'll just pay this amount, we'll refund you. I'm still waiting on the refund.
Okay. Okay, then, and if I can continue another thing.
I'll do the best I can.
Pardon?
I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, that's fine. In June, the fire territory fund got $493,250. And of course, you wrote them a check for $410,875. That's your half. And there was an additional $24,377 that also came in. The whole total is $517,000. And you moved some over to the equipment fund, $64,186. How was that?
Is it June?
This is June, this is
That's
before
not
you.
me, yeah.
But you're supposed to know this now.
I know. I can make a phone call, I I won't be, she's probably not gonna answer right now, because she knows where I'm at.
Okay. Kind of, I mean, we're making, in the latter part of the year, we're making like, $10,000 a month with the lid
With the lid?
and the CDTs and all the other stuff. And that's, so there's kind of like 120 grand out there floating around. Couldn't you use some of that money to supplement what they're short?
Well, the 61.5 was what they were short, as far as you mean, with, if they take the lesser amount?
Yeah. Because I'm just looking at the dollar amount.
Sure.
We have, heck, in the fire equipment fund, we've got $715,000.
It's higher than that now.
And I know we probably can't use that, we gotta use that for fire equipment, I presume. But when we look at our overall budget and how much money we have and how much, like we said, we went up $300,000. Couldn't you look for some of that money to backfill the fire department? Because the question I would have brought up is, why couldn't we use some of that money to lower the tax rate? But it's too late to do that now.
Right.
So maybe next year, when we can look at it and look at the amount of money we have on hand, instead of saying we need to continue to have this money, because every year from 2023 up to now, you've gone up, the township has gone up about 100 grand.
How many years, over how many years?
2023, 2024, 2025.
The 24 when
Yeah.
the contract started? And so,
For the
yeah, for the territory.
We did all the readings and everything in
Yeah.
2024.
The
And
three
agreed
readings,
to do it in 24.
but it didn't go into effect until,
Didn't get our first
we didn't get our
money.
first draw
Right.
until July 2020.
So if I-
June 2020.
even when I go back to like 2023 and 2022, because I've looked to see like what did it used to make? Because I haven't even asked these guys, what was your budget before? And I've seen it go up and up and up, and then I saw this big hit in 25.
I gotta be honest with you, their budget is hard to follow, and really hard to follow. And you did send me over the information I asked for, I got all their expenses and all that stuff, and they're all legit. There was a $6,000 charge to an attorney, which is your attorney, up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I don't know if the 10,000 you mentioned the other day also included paying Bellamy, which some of it did. There's about $1,000.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if I have
So
that.
their books are a little bit harder to figure out, but these are nasty. They're really nasty to figure out, because when I was in business, when the money came in, I'd say, well, I need this much for the lumber package, this much for the concrete, this, and down the line, and I can follow it. And here it just kind of gets blown away into these funds, and some of it gets moved over, and some of it doesn't. So how do you predict which funds get moved into the township fund, or because the rainy day fund doesn't change.
And neither does
It
assistance.
just sits there.
Yeah. Assistance doesn't change either.
And the assistant doesn't change, it actually goes down. Speaking of that, there is an error in your books. You had 14 assistants for the entire year,
Yeah.
and you're missing one number.
It was the wrong county. It was
Oh,
Jackson Township, Brown County.
Oh,
So it
okay.
got avoided.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was the wrong county.
I counted that up and I go, well, we don't really do a lot of assistants, and
Right.
and which is unfortunate, probably because it was hard to get to where the assistance was.
Right.
Out in the boondocks. But just following through, so how do you determine when you get a $602,000 check that goes in, we know 410 is going over here, how do you split up the rest? How do you know where it goes?
I'm following the previous clerk teachings right now.
Okay,
After that's split up, and Holly could probably answer it a little bit better, but we're both learning. She's like, don't talk. She's back there.
I know.
But I don't know if we're there to tell you that right
Okay.
now. I just know that there's like one item you see that repeats itself all the time. It's 383.
383, that's
383.
yeah, that's from the
Yeah, that one's,
lit fire,
lit fire.
yeah.
That one goes, where's the majority of it? I'm just like, because I'm not looking at it right now. Where's the majority of it going after it gets distributed to the,
Well,
To
lit
the
fire
fire.
goes over to the fire department.
Right.
Their fire fund. it's 383, and then when they get to 410, that slides in there too. So,
Right.
But, you know, like, lid certified chairs, that's $7,859 a month. You're making $10,762 a month, on average, so that's 120 grand a year. Seems to me that if that doesn't go into a specific pot, why couldn't you peel some of that off and send it their way?
I get a little confused with, I guess how people ask me to do it, and then how the expectation is to do it, because I'm trying to get this down, so that in future times, maybe we get that, but then I get told save money, but then I get told spend money. Is that what the conversation we just had the other day? And I'm not saying you're wrong, I think maybe, I understand what you're saying, you wanna know exactly specifically where it's going.
Well, how it gets there, I mean.
Yeah.
You're obviously the trustee, so the advisors, they sit here and they say, you know, let's go over this budget. We need to put money here and here and there and there. Do you have the authority to move money on your own without the advisory committee?
No, it takes an additional appropriation to move money from one account to another.
Does it?
Yes,
So you guys have to vote on it?
yes.
Okay, so then the next question would be, when these funds come in, there's gotta be a way or a chart or something that you look at and say, how does this get from this point to that point? Because in the latter part of the year, $193,250 came in, along with another $24,377 for 517, and you sent 410 to the fire department, which you're supposed to.
Was that the 393 one? Did you say it was 393 something?
It was 490, yeah.
493. Second half of the year, the tax draw is less.
Is less,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. But then somehow 64,000 got over into the fire equipment fund. So how did that get there?
I'm trying to remember where it came from. I don't know if it was at,
I mean, it sounds like that's half of
That's
the
half of-
113.
That's, yeah, that's the, it's
Oh.
a ratio
Yeah.
of what we paid in our
That was
spring and
that
fall
0.33
on our property.
or .033 pennies
yeah.
or whatever. That was half of it, because
Yeah,
the first
Oh, that was the one.
installment
Yeah.
on people's taxes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what that was.
64,186 doesn't sound like a number that's a bigger number divided by 2. That's right, and then.
It was 123 and change.
Yeah, and I don't know the nitty, I don't know all the.
113.
113.
113 and
Equipment replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 113
I don't know all the
and
nitty gritty,
some.
but my understanding is, yes, when you pay your first half, it's usually a little bit more than your second half, and that's.
When was
why-
that, Alan? What month was that?
That was in, well, I've got to discuss it with you because, you can only get the back half of from the fire territory over, and it's hard to figure out what the dates are because you can't, your printer's not big enough to print all of that.
Oh,
So
I'll tell you,
I don't think
it may help you and I a lot if there's ever a time. I got 2 chairs in the office, and I'll let you drive. You just drive the mouse and look around and see whatever you want.
Oh, that's fine. I've asked this question many times before. It seemed like the township always made an extra $100 grand. And if that's the case, why are we paying the extra money when we can use that to lower the taxes a little bit to help the folks that, you know, and if we would have done that, because from 2023 to 2025, you know, you went from 481 to 691. That's money I thought could have been used to reduce
You said that was
the
what your
tax
plan
numbers
was.
were. And, you know, if you knock it down a nickel, it helps a lot. So I just was curious on these numbers as, I mean, for example, we have $988,000. Yeah, we want to reduce stuff, but since the fire territory is made, we should make sure that they kind of get what they need.
Sure.
And so the question is, what are we gonna do with the $988,000? What are we gonna do with it next year? I mean, we got $988,000 in the bank. You wanna know why they wanna get rid of townships? Because townships got 500,000 and above, just sitting in there times 5,000, or times 1,000.
I was shocked too when I got the books, when I got this position, I looked at it, I was like, wow, where'd that?
Yeah.
So,
Are you saying that's $988,000 that's not earmarked?
500,000, 742 of it's in the earmark fund.
You know, your ending balance for the Jackson Township 2025, I would assume would be all funds is 988.
Yes,
Your ending balance for the township is 185,843.
and then what's the other, the big fund, if you keep going to the right?
And that's the rainy day fund, that's the.
Oh, did it get cut off maybe?
That's the baby fund. The big fund is
42?
633.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, there's a lot of money that if we got it over to the fire department, we could probably keep them funded the way they need to be funded and reduce the tax rate. Because we're getting surpluses in these other.
At the same time,
Yeah,
keep them funded, pay everything, because you reduced your budget from a ton down to 72,000. You know, because the budget last year was big
Right.
for the entire township. And you reduced that down to 72,000, so the bulk is over here. And as I brought up at the other thing, looking at your payment for the firemen, you were actually under every month, you never went over. And I forgot to add in the fact that you have to pay a fee to do that stuff. So you're running around 39,000, you should be running around 43,000. So then, you know, there's money in there, and if you drop to 2, that's gonna drop it down really significantly. So the question I look at, is there enough money floating around that we can keep the 3, because you said that's the best way to go, still reduce the taxes, and still get everything we need for the township?
I don't think that's up to me I think it's up to this body. To look at.
We had to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, we gotta crunch the numbers.
You're the leader.
You prepare the budget.
You're the guy that prepares the
You
budget.
propose it, they approve it.
All right,
I'm just trying to figure out, how it comes, I know now how it comes in, but how you calculate where it goes to. We know their specifics. They get 410 every 6 months, and these guys get this, but there's a bunch of other money that every month we get the $10,000. That's an extra 120 grand that goes into different things. The rainy day fund doesn't grow, the assistance fund doesn't grow, so it's gotta go someplace. And I'm just trying to figure out, maybe, do you guys know where it goes?
I have no idea.
it probably goes into the territory, some of the remainders of that.
I'm assuming it goes in the township general fund.
And I would assume that also, but if it's going in there and not getting used, why are we taxing for it?
Close that.
You know, we need to tax for what we need.
But it's my understanding, nothing's gonna change until
Till next year.
till we propose the budget for next year, and then that's where all the cut would come.
Yeah. So,
Do I hold on to it, or do I spend it? That's the question.
well,
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Not to be a buzzkill to this, which I think you're bringing up really valid points. The money's fine right now, obviously, because once that money's spent, it's gone.
Right.
So, will it help taxes? It can very much help the taxes, but it's only gonna help taxes in the beginning, but then it's gonna go right back to where we are. So we need to figure out, if we want the taxes to go down from everyone, we gotta figure out the budgets to where it's consistent, not just a temporary band-aid. I do think some of the money should go to the fire department. I do think we probably need some fencing for the cemeteries or other maintenance, the things that you have to do as a township.
Sure.
But at the same time, this isn't the total answer, but we do need to find out what to do with this money. Like Alan's saying, I really think that's a very, very good point, but I don't think that this is the permanent answer. This is not the permanent solution, and we shouldn't consider this that.
But if we can get a tax rate that's consistently lower, so it doesn't cost the folks as much, they get off your case, and the fire department gets what they need, the town gets what they need, and the taxpayers get what they need, lower taxes. Because you know what's gonna happen, the state's gonna stand up and go, look, we lowered your property taxes. Oh, by the way, you have to start paying for roads and bridges and everything else under the sun. So they're gonna drop it here and raise it here, and make them look like the good guys and you're the bad guys. So
Or
we-
overassess your property.
yeah, if we can get to a level, a standard level, where the taxes are reasonable, and then make sure that we fund the fire department, and make the taxpayers happy, everything works better.
I think we're all starting to share the common vision.
Hey, Alan, I got a question. Is it okay if I ask Alan a question real quick? You've
Sure,
got all
proceed.
these numbers and stuff, broke down. Do you have a rough idea, like, if you're saying lower the nickel, is that only gonna sustain for 3 years, where if you lower 3 pennies, you'll get 5 to 6? Like, do you know that yet?
Well, here's the thing.
It sounds like you've been studying it,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm gonna ask.
Oh, yeah. Since April of last year. Here's the thing, if the tax rate, let's just pick a number, let's say the tax rate is $10 a hundred. Or 10 cents a hundred, I should say, not $10. 10 cents a hundred. Every year, the county's gonna assess your property higher. So every year, you're still gonna be paying more taxes. But it still stays at 10 cents a hundred. Because you're paying more taxes because your appraised value went up, and the rate didn't go up because the board controlled the rate. And that's where you're gonna have a sustained, financing throughout, because every year, you know your property's gonna go up, unless it burns down because you guys can't get there. Then, the fact is that there is going to be more money in the pot every year to keep you guys healthy, to keep the taxpayers happy. They're gonna bitch at the county for raising the rates, and the board will be fine, because you lowered it down and kept it there.
Which that's what Senate Bill 1's doing though, is it's lowering taxes. I mean, that's why they introduced that. In
Yeah,
the last long time, it's been raising. Senate Bill 1's gonna do the opposite, it's gonna keep lowering.
it will, to an extent, but they're gonna pad like, unused funds, undedicated funds. They're gonna come down here and say, oh, you need to set up a road fund, you need to set up this fund, you need to set up that fund. And where's that money come from? Because, all along you didn't have, well, you did have undedicated funds, but now they want them. And they want you to do the work that they were supposed to do, and therein lies the problem. Yeah, it could contentiously bring the rate down, but the appraisal's gonna go up faster than the rate's gonna go down.
Well, they're pinning more stuff on the county too, so
Yes.
they're making the county have to
Yep.
raise their tax, and now they're the bad guys, not the governor or the Senate.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
So maybe you guys, since you're the majority governing body, can explain, this is the second meeting I've heard about a fence around a cemetery. As a taxpayer, I'm letting you know, if we put a fence around a cemetery versus getting these guys funding for a brush truck or
Yeah.
training to be a paramedic or whatever they may need, that's probably not gonna fly with a lot of taxpayers.
It's a law.
Nobody's going in.
It's actually a law.
It's actually a law.
Yeah.
The township trustee is responsible for cemetery maintenance.
I understand cemetery maintenance, but what's the fence doing?
There's fence law as well.
There's fence laws as well, right on the
They're
property.
dying to get in there. Gotta put a fence around it.
Does it stipulate what type of fence?
The one that's kind of falling down right now is just chain link.
Oh, just change.
Yeah. Then there's another, there's a cemetery out north of town, and it's kind of in the woods. It's kind of fallen into disrepair, and they've
Could any of those be repaired, or are you thinking wholesale replacement?
the chain link on one side is all the way laid over, so it could be repaired probably. I'm gonna get bids for it. Yes, sir.
My son and I got hired to fence in the cemetery. And an individual, when I got paying for it, we put up chain link fence all around it. It lasted 24 hours before they tore it down.
Who tore it down?
Vandals.
Oh,
Why would they wanna do that?
scrap.
You know, a lot of silly people in this world, believe me, I
Yeah.
walk in every day.
That's true.
and repaired it once, and we said, that's it, we're not coming back again. But it was a nice chain link fence, cleaned it up.
So by law, you have to fence the cemetery.
Supposed to.
Where you have 3?
3, but Joey Dallas, if you guys know who he is, he's a farmer locally.
Joey keeps care.
He takes care of the one that's on his property. I think there's family.
The only cemeteries the township trustee is responsible for are ones that are not active. Like East Hill is not the township responsibility.
Right.
And they're across the road from each other, aren't they, Mark?
Yes.
Those two?
Yes.
Yeah, there's.
And then there's one out
It's on
on Mass Chapel Road,
Mass
that's in our
Chapel.
township.
Yeah.
That's not active anymore, doesn't have a board.
What's the one on 252, just as you go out?
That's
of
Joey
That's the one Joey's
It's the
taking.
Oh, okay.
Bowles Williams Cemetery that Joey Dallas takes care of because his parents are buried there.
Okay.
That next meeting we have, I'll get you more answers.
Okay.
There is I was looking for it on the way here, where that 500,000 that has been, it's not all fire stuff. It was like a wish list. The majority of it is fire stuff, but there are things on there for like.
Well, the $500,000 over by resolution was moved to specifically the territory fire equipment fund. That's out of the overall 600,000 addition.
The wish list was the capital improvement plan.
That was the
which
capital
happened-
improvement plan.
Happened before they moved it over.
Yeah. That was just like an emergency thing to take
So the
care of.
state, yeah.
Whatever.
It was
So
them
that the
To
state
keep from
didn't
having to
When
turn
they
it
had the
over
lit
to the
money.
county.
Yeah.
It was hiding because the lit was gonna come in and take it.
Well, the state.
Well, the state was never gonna use it
But use it for roads.
Yeah.
Part of the,
roads
part of
and
the
stuff.
increase in the lit money in 2028.
But I mean, I was here and it seemed to be everybody's understanding that it was to be used for those guys' equipment, every last penny of it, so.
I mean, I feel like we were all on the same page with that.
Yeah.
It would be, we were lowering the 3 pennies for 4 or 5 years, I can't remember exactly.
Actually, you gotta
But
think
we
of
were,
it.
I think, all good with it, but then it just didn't happen.
The wrench was that they said they weren't taking the 3 pennies off. That's the wrench.
But even though
And it
there's,
sounds like we found an answer.
even though that's still being taken out, that doesn't change the fact we set that money, or these guys set the money aside for you guys.
Right, they approved
That's
that.
what it needs to be used for. I mean, that's the way I understood it.
There was,
agree with that.
if I remember right, there was initially discussion on $600,000 in that capital improvement plan.
608.
We, by resolution, moved 500,000 of that over to the territory fire equipment replacement fund. We're left roughly 100,000 in that fund. Could do the cemetery maintenance, the other things on that wish list.
January
find the wish
was
list.
last year.
The wish list was, like prior, everybody was saying all these things, and Mark said, well, let's just move it to the fire equipment fund, which I think everybody, the chief, everybody was on the same page as, okay, that's for fire equipment. That's what we need it for, that's why it's there.
Okay.
The wish list was like prior to it, everybody said, well, we got these different things we can move it to.
That was to take care of the, I brought 10 minutes with me.
Where there was a fence, like, seal coats for the firehouse and things like that.
The state proposed that we do this capital improvement plan because, like Senate Bill 1, I know that's the elephant in the room, they want to capture that money laying in township funds, not being spent, to use for road maintenance for the
Right.
counties or whatever. And that was we had to adopt a capital improvement plan, but we also, at the same time, come up with a resolution to move the majority of that money over to the fire equipment.
Okay, I actually know who will make me better understand this, and it's the previous clerk. I'll just sit down with her.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the, I'll think of it in a second.
This is towards the end, Claire. So, are you guys, I know you're sick and tired of talking about it, but what's your reason for not getting a new brush cut? Do you think you just make the old one work, or?
We were just stalling and still gathering information, because someone mentioned get a used one, someone mentioned keep following the new one.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, we're not trying to be hasty, we're trying to make a sound decision for the taxpayer, for us, so we still have money in the fund, that's all that's about.
What you discussed about.
It's also not brush fire season with
Right.
12 inches of snow, so
Right.
we're willing to wait a little longer if we need to, and
But
see if the right thing comes up.
I wasn't there when I watched the territory, and it seemed like he said like, well, we can take the stuff off the back and put it on the new trucks, one way to.
Well, that saves, what, 20 grand right there, and we intend to do that anyways, cause it's kinda getting too heavy on that old F-350.
Yeah,
It's
That
a
much
30-year-old
water
truck.
all the time.
yeah, I just want,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't want you guys backing up, cause you thought, you know, like I said, that money, Mark and Tom set that aside, that's what I
Right.
asked for,
Right.
so, but if you need
We
one.
just wanna be very responsible with every bit of it, cause it is, I mean, yeah, we say it's the territory, but it's the taxpayer money.
Yeah,
What's it cost? Do you have any cost yet?
We've had a few quotes bounce around with a truck chassis with, one of them had bigger super single tires on it
It was
and
gonna
stuff
for
for, that you know is gonna clear and get through over the river and through the woods to the fire.
yeah,
You know, that was, gosh, what was that one? That was pretty pricey. So then we said, well, what's just
but it's,
a newer F-450 that,
but you're south of 500,000.
oh yeah, way south.
So, yeah, I mean,
A hundred to two
We're
hundred.
looking at-
Yeah, we're under 200.
I mean, I don't have a vote, but if you need it, I can get it, it's there.
Then you guys can take it, you can go buy a plow, put it on that one,
Yeah.
and hit all these people that around town that can't get out, and
So,
you're making your money back.
There was also one of the things I was thinking, and I'll take the hint for this, when I was talking to them, I'm like, if it should go through that we end up merging, I don't wanna just hand them over a brand new truck. So I just kinda wanted to be like, okay, wait a second, if this gets any traction, but if it doesn't get out, then we can talk about it again.
He is correct. We had that discussion about these House and Senate bills, and
They're weird bills and they're just.
Yeah.
what equipment is owned by what right now is still up in the air.
Yeah.
If this all is gonna get merged into more than one township, we need to know how to properly approach that too, so.
Have you considered a used Forest Service brush truck? We'll talk.
Okay.
I have not spoke to the,
I've not spoken to
I would
them in a
have
while.
to speak to the DNR on that, I have not spoken to them, no.
Don't talk to the DNR, talk to the feds.
Oh.
They got really good equipment and they turn it over really fast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's good information. No, I've always just went through fire headquarters down here in Morgan Monroe.
Don't do that.
So, what's that?
I said, don't do that.
Don't do
The
that.
Morgan Monroe Fire Headquarters?
Fire headquarters, but
Yeah.
you're gonna end up with a 1947 Dodge.
Okay.
Then we had
A square body.
It would go anywhere, but it was slow as a turtle.
Alan, if you're planning on meeting the trustee at his office to go over these numbers again, would you be offended if one of us was available to come by and participate?
Not at all.
Cause that'll help us as we look at our budget that you've seen, discuss what you're discussing, so we're better prepared in May, June, and August for budgets.
I'm a numbers guy.
Well, like Matt said, I think we're all trying to share the same vision, it's just,
Yeah.
it's been a rough time getting to this.
And that's why I suggested go to the feds for a brush truck. Because out west, they've got tons of stuff that they just let sit there. And it's surplus, and you can buy it cheap, and it's what you need because they use it in the forest.
Yeah.
Just,
I
I
will,
mean, not saying that
I'll
it's
try to look
gonna
into
be
that
there,
some
but
more. And,
it's an opportunity to look.
yeah.
You got a bad hand?
I just have a couple of things real quick. I know it's getting late. I realized that I had sent him a big rundown of the SB 270, the bullet points, and one thing that I wanted to bring up is that one of the point systems on that, one of the categories is if we issue fewer than 24 total assistance between
that was one of
23 and
them.
24. And I feel like we're probably gonna get dinged for that, because I don't feel like we probably had that many.
In 23, I think there was only, if I remember, like 15, it averages like 15 or so.
So I don't know if
But
we're
there's
gonna
like
meet that.
Green Township, they had none.
See, yeah, so,
Because they-
so they might not even be an option for us to, like, technically, if they're just as low as we are, we might not be able to even consolidate. But a couple more things, they, as far as the dates, this is talking about, the state would publish township scores on December 31st of 26.
Oh.
And then early 27, townships can challenge the scores by talking to the state.
CLGF.
The state, yeah. And then it says May of 26, counties decide which townships merge. Doesn't sound like we have a whole lot of say in that. And then January 1st, 28, mergers take effect. And then 2030, the new township's officials would be elected. Of course, all this is subject to amendments and change and all of that. But I also wanted to note that the SB 1 is also, they put an article out today saying that the state Indiana Department of Transportation has canceled 300 road projects, postponed them indefinitely because they just don't have the money to do
They
them.
were saying some roads go back to gravel and chip
Yep.
and seal.
That's what Morgan County Commissioners,
Yeah.
so I highly think that our county taxes are gonna go up. You guys know I've been screaming about SB 1 since before it even, cause I knew it was coming, but.
And they keep threatening that, like, the chip seal thing's a big deal. They did 252 and 44 like that, so that's the majority of what runs through here.
I
So
just ride a motorcycle, I don't wanna fall on that.
no, you don't wanna fall on anything. I know.
You guys did file an annual budget for 23-24? 2023 and 2024?
That was
Filed
before me.
So we're not gonna get that point.
What's the monthly ones
Oh, yeah,
that they're
the
talking
monthly.
about though?
Yeah.
What is that just our reports of like a monthly?
I just don't have it off
review?
the top of my head, I'm on 3 hours of sleep. so.
One point for each year of township government did not file required monthly upload reports.
So those are all, yes, we're good.
So we don't, okay?
We're good.
Oh, good, okay. Did you file an annual finance report?
Yes.
For that? So
We're working on that
there's 3
this
points
month.
shot in the 2-year right there. And you are managing a fire protection district, so that's gone. And you did provide township assistance.
Yeah, but
But
it depends if
if
it's,
we didn't meet the threshold.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And that's another one.
Yeah.
The sum of township assistant applications received by the township government 23-24 is less than 24.
So,
That would be a point.
so my question is though, because you were saying about 15 a year, the way that's worded, do they mean 24 in those 2 years total? Or do they mean 24 per year? Because the way I read it myself before I talked to people was 24 total in those
That's
2
the
years.
way I read it.
And then like as I was talking to people, I realized that I might be misinterpreting it, and maybe they mean 24 a year. But my interpretation personally was 24 total over those 2 years, which we may have hit, maybe. Okay. So we might not have a point there.
We might be safe.
Well, it says that the sum of township assistance applications received by the township government in 2023 and 2024 is less than 24.
Yeah, it's total for 2
That's
years.
a
in my
total
opinion.
combination.
that'd be a total of 24 for 2 years.
So would it be worth looking at all those bullet points and having like a risk assessment soon to see if, cause who knows if this is gonna go through,
I have these
but
8, I have those 8, scores in my office, I can throw it together.
just kinda look at the categories and see what
Yeah.
you think, and can you throw it on Facebook or something, just so,
Don't-
or bring it up in a meeting or something? Well,
Don't you
yeah.
think that, I think we probably agree that if we are 4 or higher, I think we're probably close, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're a 3 or a 4,
Yeah.
maybe? I think,
I don't even think we're gonna be 4. Because the only one that I see that, no, number 1, 8-1 is the first one, that the township government did not provide township assistance in calendar year 2023, and you did.
Yeah, we did.
So there's no 2 points there.
Every year going back for,
The government does not actively manage fire protection or emergency medical services. You do. So there's another point shot. 1 point for each year that a township government did not file annual financial reports with the state.
You think
For
we
each
did,
year. So
right?
if you file them,
For 15 years
There's
solid, it's
nothing.
been good.
1 point for each year the township government did not file all required monthly upload reports. That would be the only one that we might get.
We're there.
If
And
we're
then-
there, then.
And
there's
then
no-
honestly, now that I think about it, the previous clerk, even in Bill Witt's absence, she still did it.
And Mark says he filed the annual budget report for 23 and 2024, so there's no point there. The sum of the township assistance, this is the one where you determine that you have 24 and 23 and 24.
I think it's
Total.
about 15 apiece.
So,
That might be good.
and I can look up 23 and 24 for you if you want. And the point for a township government that has an adopted budget of less than $100,000. We're way above that, so there's no point there. And then there's only, the last one is 1 point for a township that did not have a candidate on the election ballot for the office of township trustee or all township board members in 2018 and 2022, and you did.
Yeah, they were because they were all interim positions.
So it seems to me like you might get 1 point.
And are we in agreement that if we don't have to merge, like are we good with staying local? Like what's the stance, or are you not ready to say
But isn't there a
publicly?
population clause in
No,
there?
not this one.
No.
Nope, that's the
Oh,
other
that's
one.
the other 3,700 or
And
something.
That's the other one.
If 1315 passes, there's a clause in there that says you don't have to join it if you don't want to.
Mhm.
The township shall state that they don't want to
I
join.
guess until this is finalized, it's,
Not worried about it.
yeah.
That was discussion though, at least we're all talking about the same thing.
So the Indiana Township Association has on their website that there's going to be a Zoom legislative update meeting Friday, February 6th, starting at 10 a.m.
I got that email today.
Okay. So we might learn more then.
So back to the brush truck. I know you're concerned about merging and all that. I had a question that came up while you guys were all talking about everything else. If they go ahead and get the truck now, I know you're telling them to hold off, but if they go ahead and get
But
the
we
truck
agreed to
now,
hold off.
and we end up having to merge, can you not sell that piece of equipment back to the town? Because the town has.
Ooh, there is
equipment.
something that happens when you dissolve.
If,
I can't remember what
But
that
you
is.
can only
yeah,
sell it
there's
for a
a,
dollar.
we don't have a good answer.
I think
We
it's-
gotta get a
it's
better
like a
answer. We
divorce,
gotta
it's
get a
like
better.
32%.
I'm just saying, that way you don't have to hold off, you can keep looking.
Yeah,
So-
oh, we're still actively looking, we're just trying to be patient.
So if it was the townships prior, I think it's my understanding that it goes back to the township. If it was theirs prior, obviously they're contracted with it, so it would stay with them. If the town owned it prior, it goes back to the town. If we buy something as a territory,
The town owes nothing in this building.
right, but if it's purchased as a territory though,
You know, that's-
and we whatever happens to separate, then it has to be divided. So that's another thing I was gonna say, just so everybody's clear. If we buy something like the truck and it's bought by the territory, I would want to at least have a discussion, because I think the township should buy it because they were township funds. That's just my argument that could be discussed.
Here's the other side of that coin. They're a corporation, right?
We're incorporated, yes.
They're a corporation. If the corporation buys it, the state can't take it away from them, because it's theirs.
It's true.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
if
talking
they
about
buy
a
it.
merger, if they
Yeah.
merge.
Yeah.
Even if they merge, they're a corporation. They bought it, they own it.
But like,
They bought it with the money you provided, and they can use it.
But if the state says, you know, we're all a new township and they combine us all, I mean,
And
that
like
changes everything.
Washington, yeah.
We might be- might be in
You, you think we would still be safe to
Oh, absolutely.
everything?
Absolutely.
They wouldn't pull our brush truck and say, hey, we need it over here at Washington?
Like they did your ambulance?
Well, if the
Yeah, that's
territory
right. I wasn't
buys it,
gonna go there, but yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened with our ambulance.
if the territory buys it, they'll take it. If you bought it with your funds because we gave them to you in whatever way that we had to make it legal, then it would stay yours.
So it'd be advisable either fire department buys it or the township. and
Yeah,
that way there's no,
That's
it
what I would
doesn't
say.
wander off someplace.
It's township funds that were put there.
What you're saying, Dan, is that Washington
guys are
Township,
safe
if
with
we
this.
merge with
Yeah.
Washington, they could come in and say, hey, we like your new fire suits, we want them.
If purchased by the territory, yes.
I don't think that's true, because they purchased them as a corporation.
The equipment replacement fund gets purchased through the township territory, so those funds would be bought, wrote a check titled to the territory / township.
Okay.
Unless somehow you figured out how to put that in our account and then,
I mean, that's a legal argument. I would rather you guys have it than it be taken.
Do you have the title to all the engines you now own?
except for the.
Except for the
truck.
three, those three we discussed in the last meeting.
How many you got total?
5 or 6.
6,
So we've got three, you've got three.
pretty much.
So Dan, who then, if it goes to the townships, who then operates the truck, so you don't have a $250,000 truck?
Yeah.
They're three with me.
Because you already have it.
We don't know.
So you're saying
Everybody in town just takes turns, right?
So you're
now?
saying if we bought it and then something happened?
No, let's say, you were saying it goes back to the township.
You need to,
Yeah.
If you got, if the fire department merges,
Mr. Nicely.
who operates it then? Because then it's just
Chat with
sitting
him
there.
and say, if you bought it as a.
Would the township put it up for sale?
Yeah, we would have, I would assume we would have the ability to sell it, but, I mean, that's
That question's been asked.
That's been asked.
We don't have any.
At least we're asking the questions up front so we can make sure we
There
make a smart
was-
decision with whatever ends up happening.
Another fire chief that told me that he drew up, he was some kind of corporation as well, and they drew up an agreement with their township because of things like this, where they purchased it and then
The township.
at any time
purchased
the township purchased it, or it was titled in that, but if they came into a situation like this, they could sell it to the incorporation for $1.
That's what we gotta do.
And it's a standing, written document agreement signed by both parties, and it just, we would come and get it titled to us for $1 back to the township,
But you put down
if that happened.
a dollar and other costs, because they can't, well, wait a minute, the dollar makes it a legal transaction,
Yes,
and other costs makes it, they don't know.
and maybe that's
the
what
customer.
he said, yeah.
Yeah, so you got.
He said they had a written agreement on that, so that way if they ever had to change the title because of a county takeover, they had a better chance of keeping the incorporation together if needed.
Yeah.
But we would have to discuss that with the lawyer.
I think the board should discuss what they were just talking about, and possibly having a legal person take a look at that idea, and, maybe allocate some money for having that lawyer look at it.
The money's there.
Do you have a lawyer?
It may not even be necessary though, if this.
I asked him the other day, I said, I need to sit down and ask you a few questions, and he sent me back, $400 an hour, make an appointment. I was like, damn.
They're not worth that.
Do you want us to use our lawyer and come back with information?
How much an
And
hour?
discuss.
I was gonna say,
Just
no,
these three
I don't think, I don't think so. I mean, does the board think that we should let the fire department do that if they're already gonna be? I mean, if we're responsible.
I think we should do those things, but I'm willing to, like, take into consideration what you guys want when we're doing those things, but I think that's our responsibility. I don't think that should be put on.
No, that's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
And I think we have some good resources with the Township Association.
Yeah.
We should start using a little more than we have been.
Mm-hmm.
I've been digging through that, so I just paid my dues at the beginning of the year, so now I'm in there.
Because going along those lines, the three pieces of equipment they own, we transfer them over to you, so you own.
Right, we just gotta make sure the legality and the wording of the document's good, so the state can't come back and say, no, that's
That
void.
way they came back to us and said, well, by the way, we don't want those three.
And not even the state too, the county too, if they start trying to reassign townships or something, and that's even if those bills ever go.
These bills aren't gonna go anywhere, I'm telling you.
Well, I know that we say this like about every meeting, this is a statewide issue,
Mhm.
volunteer fire companies, but it's nationwide, but especially this state. I've never seen bills get this aggressive, and they're doing it more than they ever have. But I haven't been in fire service as long as others. We have guys that used to be on years ago, I'm not trying to point him out, but Mark was, and I don't know if he's ever seen it this aggressive either, where the state's trying to do something.
They'll get somewhere eventually, if not this year.
I'm sorry, what?
They'll get somewhere
Oh,
eventually,
yes,
if not this
yes,
year.
and like you mentioned earlier, you got a lot of township governments, there was stuff earmarked where they couldn't give it to fire departments, now they're sitting on $500,000-$600,000, and now they can move that to them, but they never were allowed in the past, but that's an issue with township
You know,
governments.
in the past, we were only allowed to up their budget 3% a year.
And, that's again,
That
that's
was
a
the state
statewide
Mormon
issue.
County rule.
That was a
They could only
statewide
update
issue.
their budget 3% a year.
That's why the
So
territory
do
talk
that,
started
figure out how
in
many years it would take. to get-
2015.
Yeah.
When it did.
Where everything goes.
And this is a fight that everyone's fighting in this state, and like, yeah, Mark, I appreciate Mark, adding to that and defending this and everything, because that's a huge issue we've seen statewide, visiting with other fire chiefs and other fire departments, just like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, we're just trying to do this, and then they're finding out the same things. Our trustees had this money, and they get a little frustrated and heated, 'cause they're like, but they weren't allowed to do that until this last year with the capital improvement plans and these other things.
So, Mark, when you said you couldn't update their budget,
We
did
couldn't
their,
increase their budget.
you couldn't increase their budget? Did the contract count as part of the budget item?
Pardon?
Did the contract that you had with the fire department, the 90,000, was that part of that, where you couldn't increase that by 3%?
Yes.
And like Mark said, it takes years to get
Yeah.
anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Years.
Awkward silence.
We good? It's getting late.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you. Again, second meeting, great conversation.
Can you go?
There's a lot of
What's a